Welcome along to the Make It Count podcast. My name is David.
My name is Matt.
And we are the Taylor Bros. Making it count.
Absolutely.
So, we've talked about in the past this idea of the love languages and saying 5 good things for every one negative thing. That seems to come up in a number of different circumstances, whether it's teaching, whether it's relationships, even friendships, being 5 encouraging things for every one, maybe so we say more critical or potentially negative thing.
Yep.
And I've been doing some training as I train to be a teacher, and they talk about praise and how generic praise, the good or well done, isn't that valuable, doesn't really make much of a difference. But specific praise, hey, you used a very good methodological approach there, or hey, this technical language was brilliant. That's much more valuable. And then I was doing some training with a guy called Tom Bennett, and he said there's been some research that has shown that if you praise someone for something that they find easy, they will respect you less because they assume your standards are so low. And that stopped me. I was there watching this training on it was a sort of a webinar thing, and it just stopped me. I was like, that's crazy. Nobody's ever said that there's a danger for low level praise, that if they already find it easy, you have undermined their respect for you.
Wow.
What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I remember you told me about that, and it paused. That is shocking, but in the same breath, it makes a lot of sense, intuitive sense, because it's that thing of, I think our lenses are so autobiographical that if something is easy for us, we don't realize maybe how hard that is for other people, and so there's the what's the other, the Dunning-Kruger effect, which is the whole thing of, if you ask a novice how good they are and you ask an expert how good they are, they're actually quite likely to say a similar level of expertise, because the novice has no idea what they don't know. And they're like, oh, I'm pretty good at this, pretty good. And the expert, because they know so much, they have this curse of knowledge of like, there's so much I don't know, so they underestimate. And that kind of thing of, so the expert actually, in that regard, that the novice has false view of themselves. The expert has a negative false view of themselves because they don't realize how much they are, how good they are, and how much more they know. And so I think in the same way, yeah, like I was thinking for myself, what are some things that I have maybe been praised for that just come easy for me? And now, from our youth, you were never as necessarily as tidy with some of your room as I was, and I think that maybe was some of the, the tension between you and parents at times. That was never a problem for me because I personally didn't really like a messy environment. But if I was praised for my clean room, like, it wasn't really a benefit. It was like, well, I'm not doing it for you to get praised. I'm just doing it because I want it. And so it doesn't have that same. Whereas if you had been like, you know what, I really want to honour my parents, I'm going to tidy my room, and then you'd been praised, it probably would mean a lot more to you. So that's a simple example. On Tim Elmore's podcast, they often talk about this whole thing of, we don't want to be helicopter parents. We don't want to be necessarily encouraging the thing of just everybody gets a medal because they turned up to the competition. But there is a place, obviously, for praising. But they were like, yeah, you can go overboard with it. So, for example, every time little Johnny puts a spoon back in the dishwasher, well done, Johnny. It's like, he's 16 now. He should be able to do it himself. And actually, the parent there is probably doing exactly what you've just said, undermining the respect their teen has for them by overpraising something which is just a base expectation.
Yeah, so the example Tom Bennett used was, if I went around and started praising you every time you tied your shoelaces, it would be a bit patronising.
Yes.
And you'd go,
that's it.
David, what is this? But also you would think, man, if I was being sincere in my praise of you, if that was even if I was able to bring that level of sincerity to a stupid situation, you would think, wow, David's standards and expectations on me are really low.
Yeah.
You would, because you're like, all I've done is tie my shoelaces. I'm an adult. I've been doing that since I was, 5.
Yeah,
or however old. And so the idea that yes, we should be free with our praise, but also the challenge of targeting that specific, because I think we were thinking about this generally. When there's times when I feel like I've been patronized in my praise, and it was like, well, maybe not that, or maybe they didn't do this, or maybe I didn't do that, but you're like, probably there is still a bit of a deficit of encouragement and praise in the world. So we should be free, more free. Say the 5 things for the one negative, the critical thing, but also be intentional with that. Be specific.
Yeah.
Recognize for this person that's a real challenge. So let's draw it out. Let's help them with more specific praise. Let's build them up with that.
Yeah, and I think the danger is, because we've talked about this idea before. Well, I don't know if we have on this podcast, but Tim Elmore talks about the red velvet covered brick, and we've spoken a little bit about this as like how to get good performance out of people. It's the joint between like having high expectations, but also having that belief that they can do it. And the velvet covered brick is kind of like the soft, smooth outer surface, but also like the brick of like, this is what we expect of you.
So the brick being the expectations, the velvet cover being the sort of I believe in you, the warmth, the softening of that.
Precisely.
So if you don't have that, you're covering someone over the head with a brick.
Yeah, exactly. And in a sense, I think what we're talking about here is the opposite side of that. So if I praise something which is basic and easy for that person, they're going to go, well, they don't have high expectations, and so in a sense we feel it as patronizing because we're going, I mean, sure, I'm capable of way more than this. And so like if you're praising me for that, it probably means that your perception of me is low, and that's one of the reasons why maybe it results in a loss of respect for the person who's given the praise, because they go, we kind of map onto it. So it's like if I perceive their expectations as low, then I probably also subconsciously think that their belief in what I can do is low, is that level. And
maybe we know that there's a relationship between what other people's expectations are on us and how we show up.
Yes.
Right, so it's was it the Pygmalion effect?
I don't know.
Based on this film. But basically, other people's expectations affects how we view ourselves, which affects how we show up in the world, which then can reinforce those expectations. That works in the positive and the negative effect. So if someone has imagine at work, someone has really low expectations on you, it's going to be more difficult for you to keep bringing your high performance, because ultimately you're like, well, they just think I need to do this. So I'll just do this and I'll still get paid. Whereas if they're like, hey, I have these really high expectations on you, and this is specifically where you've done in managing that project or whatever it is, you're going to be like, oh, I need to keep bringing my best. And so you rise to the level of those expectations.
Absolutely. Yeah, actually, 2 things come to mind. Just yesterday, I was listening back to our episode on motivation and how you can motivate anyone by being a fan of them. And you told the great story of how basically you had, in 2 examples, where you had someone believe in you, and that gave you the ability to believe in yourself and then say, yeah, I'm going to go on and do this. In a sense here, we're talking about the opposite of someone's praising you at such a low level that you're going, that's the ceiling of what they expect I can do, because they're sincerely praising me for it. So I'm going to almost lower myself down to that level. The other thing that I suppose comes to mind from my own experience is a work appraisal that I had, and I hadn't really had much contact with that manager for a long time. He'd been sucked into other things, and we just sort of, it was a tick box exercise, and he just went through, it was like, yeah, yes, everything's good, everything's great, yeah, you're just basically doing great. And I came out of that and I was like, well, that's not motivated me to get better at any aspect of my job. It's basically going, just keep doing what you're doing, and you'll be fine, you'll coast, you'll get the bonus, whatever. It's like that wasn't motivating, and also it's not satisfying, because you come away and you go, oh, there's no challenge to rise up to, there's nothing to, and that's the thing. Like, you don't want an overbearing leader who's going to nitpick and criticize everything, but you also don't want someone that's absent and just kind of from afar goes, everything's great over there, guys, keep doing it, because you're going, they actually can't know. And it does, it interestingly enough, it did actually lower my what's the word, it lowered my respect for that, my evaluation of that person, because it said they don't really have high standards, or they didn't really take the time to acknowledge this is the challenges, and this is where you need to step it up, actually. Because I'm not perfect. I know there's things I need to improve on.
Great awareness there, Matt. And I suppose if you looked at the transcript of that conversation, there'd have been loads of positive words, goods and greats, and this seems really brilliant even. And you're going, it's all generic, all general, and it didn't mean anything.
Yeah.
And so even on the one hand, he's probably come away thinking, I've been really encouraging there. I've really praised him for loads of things. And you're going, does he even know? And like you said. And so that's why we wanted to talk about this concept of, hey, praise specifically, but don't praise to the easy, ultimately.
Yeah.
Praise to the, I know this person finds this challenging, and they gave it a go.
Yeah.
So I'm going to praise your effort. You might have totally failed, but you did so well to even approach that challenge.
Yeah.
I liked your effort. I liked your resilience. I liked that you did the hard thing, no matter the outcome. Man, that'd be great. Like if someone, every time that I did something that was really hard, regardless of outcome, if someone like praised me for that, that would keep you going, because you're like, well, next time I'm going to turn it around.
It would also definitely make you more likely to attempt hard things in the future. The other thing that's worth saying is just a reiteration from that fan podcast. The thing that was powerful that you picked up on that I'd missed was that it wasn't about whether you said to them that you're a fan. It's whether you show them that you're a fan. And that's a level deeper, isn't it? That's so much more intentional. It's, I'm on your side and I want you to succeed. And I'm not just going to go, well done for tying your shoelaces. I'm going to show that I'm a fan and I want your success. And that takes more intention. Like, what does that actually look like? And how can I do that, maybe non-verbally, to show support for them for something that they found really difficult or they found challenging, and they rise to it.
Mm-hmm. And that's where the challenge is, isn't it? Of praising and pitching that just right. Because if you go, hey, they need to hit this level, this expectation, and it's too hard, that in itself is discouraging.
Yeah.
So praising the thing and setting those expectations. So I think that's our conversation today, isn't it? On the Make It Count podcast. We hope you've enjoyed that. We hope you found that interesting and insightful. And let us know what stories and questions you have. Maybe you have a story of someone that, hey, they basically patronised you. They praised you for something you found really easy. Or how you can apply this in your life and think about how you can praise more specifically.
Absolutely. Dave, you did a great job on that podcast.
Well done, everyone.
It was really good.
Oh, thank you, Matt. Yeah. No, well done, everyone. Yeah, great. Brilliant. I failed. I'll try again next time.
See you guys next week.